Hi everybody, so you've created out your final solution. We've got this plan view here. You'll obviously have this done out nice and faintly. It's slightly dark for the purposes of this video. Your side elevation and your end elevation looking in the direction of that arrow. Just remember please, when you check this before you start applying your colour tone, that this height here and this height here should be the same. This width and this width should be the same also. So here we go. I've got my timber type coloured pencil, and as previously explained to you, I'm going to start off, I'll put in that little hole there, and I'm just going to go around the outside of my plan view, with a nice thin dark line. So we're just going down here, around here nice and carefully. Again, as previously said, that if you've got a more expensive coloured pencil, they don't hold the tip quite so well, keep sharp, but they are great for adding tone and general shading, because you can get far better control over what you're doing. What I'm also going to do now is just carefully, whilst I've got a relatively decent point on my pencil, this is a different final solution than I've produced in the previous tutorials. Okay, and so this side elevation, we've got the S-shaped former to produce this veneer shape, and again, a veneer is a thin layer of a material, in this case timber, and we've got 5 or 6 layers of 6mm veneer for this project. There we go there. Okay, I'm pretty happy with both of those, and what I'm also going to do is go over this end elevation or end view, just so that you can see that a little bit more clearly, and it'll help whilst applying the colour tone. Now remember, where the tone itself is this colour, which in this case is brown ochre, and by applying more or less pressure, we're going to just change the look of this thing. It's purely for presentation, but here it goes. So as previously discussed, we're going to first of all remove the white out of the page. Okay, we don't want horrible stripy lines, we don't want to be picking up rubbish from underneath the paper either. So all I'm doing is just making this view or this elevation this brown ochre. I'm not pressing on too hard, but I want the viewer, the person who's looking at this drawing, not to be looking at my construction lines. So there's a reason for not doing them too densely, too darkly, and I'm just removing the white out of this page, or out of the image itself I should say. There we go, just gently. So what we need to do now is start to add a bit more tone, going from dark to light or light to dark from one end to the other. So all we're doing is we're not changing the colour, we're changing the tone. So at this end that I'm working at now, this is going to be a darker tone of this brown ochre colour. A darker tone. We're not changing the colour of brown, it's just the tone that's actually changing. Now I'm not pressing on quite as hard, but I'm still adding a little bit of tone to this end, but already you should be able to see that the end I started at, the opposite end to what I'm working at now, is slightly darker. So I'm going to add a little bit more of my brown ochre coloured pencil there. Note that I'm staying well within the confines of this nice sharp crisp edge, and really we want the eye to be drawn to the design, not the construction, not these faint crates. Those crates are there, if you remember, purely to get the proportion of the product or the image or the design that you're producing. That's why we actually do them. So this is still lighter at this end. I may come back to this a little bit later and add a bit more to it. Okay, but I'm relatively happy with that. It's not great, but I think we can see that we're darker at this end and gradually getting lighter. Now, if you want to blend that a little bit more, okay, a messy way, use your little pinky, and with a decent quality pencil, you can blend relatively well. You get a bit of a smudgy finger, but there you go. I'm just going to tighten up these now. I've got a little bit of a point back on my pencil, so I'll make the most of that and just sharpen those lines up. Some people would say that you can take a 0.1 or a 0.2 black fine line pen and go around this. You can. I prefer not to do that for this type of work. But there we go. So I'm pretty happy with that now. So before I move on to this side elevation, I'm going to take a different colour, brown, not a different tone, a different colour, and I'm going to just show a layer, I'm pressing on quite firmly now, of veneer. Now I don't expect you, for something that's literally 3mm wide, and in this case it's less than that for this demonstration, to start putting in 6 layers or something like that. But already we've created 2 layers of white, 2 layers of ochre, and 1 layer of this darker brown. And I'm just thickening that up as I go through, up to the end. Okay, and it's purely to show that there's a layer. Also demonstrates your control with a pencil. Yep, that's good. So what we're going to do now is go back to my brown ochre, the main colour that I'm using for my veneer, and I'm just very, very carefully adding some tone to my side elevation, my side view. So this is colouring in nicely now. Try your best to stay within the confines of those thicker or thin dark lines, I should say. That's not too bad, that. I'm pretty happy with that. Again, I've probably created a little bit of a flat on the tip of my pencil, so hopefully on the other side, by turning it round, I've now got a sharper edge to get in that slightly sharper outline, thin and dark. Alternately, you can sharpen your pencil again. Hopefully though that won't be necessary. If you've got cheaper pencils, this bit will be easier because the leads aren't as soft, but ideally when we're doing some graphics type work and adding tone, we need a softish pencil tip. So what I'm going to do now is move to this front elevation. I'll remember I'm looking there, and this is quite simple to do. What I'm going to do is start off, if I'm looking at this edge here, I'm going to see just that little bit of dark brown from that edge there. So I'm just going to put my dark brown veneer in there. So those bits there are basically that edge there, and now this bit here is that front edge there. Just carry that through. That'll do. I'm just going to highlight with my brown ochre that point there and there. And now I'm just going to add some tone to that front flat edge, and I'm just going to try and crisp that up a bit just to give it a little bit more of a solid front edge. Okay. Now I'm just going to add tone to this area here on here, which is the main body, and again this is just giving the viewer some additional information. That's all it's doing. This is very similar to what they call an orthogonal drawing, and orthogonal drawings are drawn up with great accuracy, again to scale using drawing instruments or using computer aided design or CAD on computers to actually produce drawings that are used then for the person who's going to manufacture. But that's something that you'll learn about next year. So I'm pretty happy with that. Just highlight that hole a little bit more. I'm going to go back along that edge there just to try and make it stand out. That's that edge there, or this edge here. Yep, that's pretty good. I can come back to this if I'm not overly happy with it. And there we go. So the last thing I'm going to put in is my incense stick itself in here. And on previous drawings I've used a little red dyed piece of timber, because the incense sticks we buy, that's what the actual stick part is, and you'll see a little bit of that there. And then I'll just take my slightly darker brown. Again, we're just adding a contrast, that's all, from the lighter brown to the darker brown, or rather the ochre to the dark brown. And that's meant to signify a partially burnt down incense stick. I can even add a little bit of ash on the end there. So we're nearly there now. Just coming back. And there we go. I'm relatively happy with that. So again, we've got our 3 views created out nice and faintly in construction lines. It all looks more or less in proportion. I'll turn that round the correct way. Yeah, I'm relatively happy with that. I've got my tone going from dark to light. I can see the layers of veneer and where the incense stick fits in, shown by that little hole there. And then we've also got this attempt at the end view, and you'll notice that I've not put the incense stick in that end view. That doesn't really matter, but there we go. That completes the tutorial of how to produce a final solution. Thank you very much.